And finally, new rule, Melania Trump must do what dozens of buildings around the world have done and take the Trump name off.
I think maybe Laura Loomer's in an arranged relationship because she's very close to Trump. She's 31.
Bill Maher went on Melania and Laura Loomer, and Trump couldn't handle it. It was so intense that even Laura Loomer threatened to sue him.
You're not allowed to eat Wendy's in bed. Tell Wendy I can hear her. You are not to ever again mention the bride catalog's return policy. His name is Barron, and he's our son. Stop asking who's the kid.
It fits the idea that Trump doesn't handle emotions the way most people do. It makes him seem like he treats relationships like business deals and not something that comes naturally. Considering how often he praises himself and avoids being humble, it's kind of believable, which makes it even funnier. He also went after the well-known Trump supporter, Laura Loomer.
Because Laura Loomer said, Taylor Swift, she believes, is in an arranged relationship with Travis Kelce to influence the 2024 election. I think maybe Laura Loomer's in an arranged relationship to affect the election because she's very close to Trump. She's 31, looks like his type.
She is undeniably one of Trump's biggest supporters, to the point where her loyalty to Trump seems almost obsessive. She's always at his events, even showing up with him during the 9/11 commemorations, despite saying some pretty wild things about the attacks.
We did an editorial here a few years ago. You're remembering it already. It was basically, who's Trump fucking? Because I said, you know, it's not nobody. He's been a dog for too long, and it's not Melania. I think we may have our answer this week. I think it might be Laura Loomer. I'm just saying.
He pointed out how Loomer's support for Trump feels like more than just politics. His comments stirred up so much controversy that she even threatened to sue him. Jimmy Kimmel didn't pass up the opportunity to bring up Melania.
There's some hot gossip about Melania Trump during her time in the White House. Remember that jacket she wore and said, "I really don't care, do you?" According to a new book, that was a shot at Ivanka, with whom she was competing for press attention. There are a number of fresh revelations in this book. The book's called American Woman: The Transformation of the Modern First Lady. It says Melania used her office at the White House so rarely she had it converted into a gift wrapping room.
That jacket wasn't some random fashion statement. People assumed it was a tone-deaf mistake, but it may have been a shot at Ivanka.
The majority of her time as First Lady in meetings with teams of lawyers to examine her assets and attend to matters associated with her pre- and post-nuptial agreements with her husband. I like to watch CNN, so he ordered that all TVs be tuned to Fox News at all times. I like that. You know, for all the corruption and the bigotry and the bragging and the tough talk, at heart, he's still a petty little bitch.
That says a lot about who she is. Instead of shaping policy or pushing a cause like the other First Ladies, she was making sure her financial future was set.
Melania watching CNN is basically her version of cheating on Trump with a porn star. But I have to say, I know every couple does. I'm surprised to hear they fight. I mean, these two lovebirds? Come on. They can't keep their hands on each other.
That is a whole different level of insecurity. It's one thing to push a narrative, but being upset because your own wife is watching the news takes it too far.
This is an interesting twist. Trump says it wasn't him who tried to overturn the election, even though they have him on tape doing just that. It was them.
They rigged the election. I didn't rig the election. They rigged the election. What they do is they rig the election, and then they go around getting people and persecuting people and prosecuting people that did nothing wrong. They rigged the election.
The old "he who smelt it dealt it" defense.
Every time he is accused of something, he just flips it and says they did it first. But there are recordings, the emails, the testimonies. None of that goes away just because he keeps yelling rigged. And his supporters have heard it so much it's basically a mantra now. They're not checking what the courts say, they're just following whatever Trump says. If he calls himself innocent, they take his word for it.
Isn't it nice to have somebody that doesn't need a teleprompter? You know, it's very dangerous. You got to be careful. You know, teleprompters will often go out. And if you're a certain type of person like Joe Biden, what would he do with the teleprompter? He's no good when the teleprompter is on. But what would you do? No, the teleprompter just went out. And you know what I say? Usually I don't talk about it. Just keep going. Just keep going. You saw I just did. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for being here.
His Michigan speech was classic Trump behavior. He was jumping from one complaint to another, blaming everyone but himself.
Meanwhile, Melania hasn't appeared at one of her husband's rallies in months, but she did come out of her shoe closet today to promote her book and to reveal that, unlike her husband, she is pro-choice.
Individual freedom is a fundamental principle that I safeguard. Without a doubt, there is no room for compromise when it comes to this essential right.
Melania's sudden reappearance to promote a book is interesting, but what's even more fascinating is her stance on abortion. It goes against the strong anti-abortion position Trump has taken to win over evangelical voters. The timing makes it look like she's stepping away from his policies, but most of his supporters will likely ignore it. Maher also gave a piece of advice to Melania.
And finally, new rule, Melania Trump must do what dozens of buildings around the world have done and take the Trump name off. Over a dozen Republican candidates tried to stop Trump and couldn't. Hillary couldn't. Never Trumpers couldn't. Mueller couldn't. Is there anyone left who can check Donald Trump? Yes, Melania.
He's painting Melania as the unexpected hero, which is funny because it fits into the idea that Trump's biggest threat isn't politics, but his own marriage.
It's not anti-feminist to say that in addition to doing everything men can do intellectually, women also have another power, the power of the ultimatum. Getting men to change their destructive ways by threatening to leave them, humiliate them, or cut them off in bed, it's a tale as old as time.
He also jokes about feminism while pointing to a more traditional power dynamic. The idea that logic and reason haven't stopped Trump, but maybe a personal threat, especially from Melania, could. He's suggesting that he might actually fear losing what matters most to him.
He would implode on his own. Maybe it falls to you now, Melania. You can end this reign of terror, and all you have to do is channel your inner Taylor Swift and walk out the door. Your unhappiness is obvious. You despise his creepy little monkey fingers touching your hand.
He compares Melania to someone who controls her own story, just like Swift does with her music. The humor comes from the idea that Melania has been waiting for the right moment to leave, and she finally has the perfect excuse.
Tap away that hand for good. No more public embarrassment. No more porn stars. No more stealing your makeup. Toss his boxy clown suits on the front lawn. Just tell him, I'm leaving you and I'm taking our child. He would be stunned. We have a child?
That sums up the years of scandals and controversies Melania has endured. Trump possibly not remembering he has a child fits into the ongoing joke that he's too caught up in himself to pay attention to his own family. It's an exaggerated joke, but it also highlights real concerns about where his priorities actually are.
I know I'm probably dreaming and Melania isn't going to do any of this, but what if she had someone to do it with? Divorce is always easier in pairs. What if you had a buddy, Melania? Because there's another former model who's also married to a super-rich Republican monster, Mrs. Rupert Murdoch, Jerry Hall. And you two have a lot in common. Your husbands are ruining the world.
He knows this isn't realistic, but he's creating a dramatic scenario. They both married powerful men who shaped the world in controversial ways, and their influence could potentially change the world.
So, girls, you gotta step up. We have tried everything, but the more we resist these two menaces, the stronger they get. They're like the Night King in Game of Thrones. Only instead of commanding an army of brain-dead zombies, okay, they're exactly like the Night King.
He points out how Trump and Murdoch continue to gain influence despite opposition. The idea is that no matter how much people push back, their power keeps growing, making it seem like nothing can stop them.
You cavemen like Trump and Murdoch can't handle one thing, an ego lashing. Rupert has been married 4 times, Trump 3. Some guys just can't be alone. It's like how some guys get used to being in prison. They can't make it on the outside. They need to be married. When you're Donald Trump, wives don't leave you, you leave them.
This challenges Trump's ego by flipping the usual power dynamic. Instead of Trump leaving, the idea of Melania making the move changes the narrative. The prison analogy makes it seem like these men are trapped rather than in control, and the thought of Melania planning her escape makes Trump look weak and desperate.
If she ever said, Donald, there's nothing keeping me here. I can't love what you have become, and I found where you hid my passport. Imagine how nuts he would go if he had to see her in the press all the time. The Trump divorce, how Melania lost 200 pounds of flab.
Instead of Trump being in control, he becomes the burden Melania is ready to leave behind. It makes him seem replaceable, not powerful, and the idea of him watching her succeed only adds to the humiliation. Trump decided he had enough and sued Bill Maher. In 2013, Maher joked on The Tonight Show that Trump's hair color resembled an orangutan's fur and sarcastically offered $5 million if Trump could prove he wasn't part orangutan. And guess what? He took the bait.
How women were viewed in the 1950s. Irrational, pouty, vain, thin-skinned, hysterical, and just not that bright. Does that sound like anyone we know today? Who? Oh, yeah. Him.
He admitted to being a whiner. The lawsuit over the orangutan joke just proves Bill's point even more. He could have brushed it off, but he turned a late-night joke into a legal battle, making himself look even more insecure. It's the kind of reaction that takes pettiness to a whole new level.
Who says that if Hillary Clinton was a man, she wouldn't get 5% of the vote. And if Trump was a man, he'd stop whining like a little bitch. This is a guy who actually brags about his prowess at whining.
I am a whiner, and I'm a whiner, and I keep whining and whining until I win.
Trump provided his birth certificate and filed a lawsuit demanding the money for charity. The case didn't last long, and Trump quietly withdrew it without prejudice, meaning he could refile later. The lawsuit just added to the long list of times Trump couldn't handle a joke.
Anyone fit the stereotypical 50s description of a woman better than Donald Trump? Any cringe-inducing line they ever said about a secretary on Mad Men is true about Trump. And yet, he's the one with the penis. And we know that because if you make fun of it, he'll be up all night tweeting about how great it is.
Imagine being a billionaire and still getting worked up over a late-night joke. He's the same guy who mocked a disabled reporter and called soldiers losers. Instead of letting it go, he turned it into a serious issue, proving once again how much he hates being laughed at.
Donald Trump sued me last year for $5 million. Do you know that? Yes. And here's how this came about. Donald Trump.
He paints Trump as someone who uses conspiracy theories as a weapon, not just a joke. The birth conspiracy was a calculated move to undermine Obama's presidency in a way no other leader had faced. It showed how he thrives on creating doubt and division to keep himself in the spotlight.
Because he became a presidential candidate. Now you're on my turf. And not just a presidential candidate, a one-issue candidate. All about how Obama was illegitimate as a president. Remember he was sending his investigators to Hawaii? Who were finding amazing things.
He also calls out Trump's infamous investigation. He never found anything because there was nothing to find. Yet, he kept the story alive, knowing it played well with his supporters.
So after Obama releases his long-form birth certificate, Trump goes to, well, now I want to see his college records. You know, because a black guy getting into college, something fishy about that, all right?
The idea that a black man's success had to be questioned screams racial discrimination. Bill also points this out as part of a pattern where Trump used division to keep his base engaged.
So he offers the President of the United States, real class, $5 million to release his college record. So I offered Donald Trump, yes, on the air, $5 million, if he could prove that he was not the love child of his mother and an orange-haired orangutan.
Trump tried to embarrass Obama with this college record stunt, so Bill flipped it on him with the joke. And what does Trump do? He takes it seriously, showing once again he can make comments about others, but can't handle them himself. What do you think about Bill Maher's take on Trump? Let us know in the comments section below.